Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast, make sure you like this content and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Hello, and thank you for joining us today for this episode of Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from learning from other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Cynthia James. Cynthia is the author of 5 books and the creator of multitudes of meditations and music to help calm the soul. Cynthia provides courses and coaching to help women all over the world become self-aware, confident, empowered, and clear. She is the mother of 2 children and is here to share her story of generational abuse, her love of music, and how she has decided she is not going to allow her past to determine who she is going to be in the present. She dreams big and wants to help you create your future. Welcome, Cynthia.
Sabrina, so happy to be with you. Thank you so much.
Yes, girl. I want to give a shout out to Cynthia as the tech queen of Her Version today, because we were fumbling around for like 3 minutes because I had a crazy echo going on, and we stayed calm, and Cynthia figured it out like a boss.
I will be telling my children.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to sit down with me and the Her Version community and share some of your inspiration and some of your story and some of the things that you've gone through in your life. So happy Thursday.
Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. I would love to just kind of dive in and open the floor to you and just give you a few moments to tell us a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your background, and then we'll dive into the juicy stuff.
Yeah. So today I'm a coach, an author, a speaker, a musician, composer, and I work a lot with leaders, and I've had quite a journey. I've been an actress. I've been a singer on big stages. I've traveled the world. I've done a lot of stuff, and from where I came from, that's a miraculous unfolding. I mean, I consider myself to be a miraculous unfolding because based on how I was born and how I was raised, I should not be living this life. So I'm happy to come here with you today to talk about this, because if I can have this life, anybody can have a life that they love.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, I was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota. My father was an alcoholic, and my stepfather was a wife beater and a pedophile. I come from 5 generations of women, all who have been abused and traumatized. My great-great-grandmother was brought here from Indonesia as a slave. She was raped by the slave owner and got pregnant, and of course hated her daughter. And so that started, there's a whole thing about historical trauma and how it gets passed down through the DNA. And so 5 generations of women who had unhappy relationships and didn't step into their power, didn't bring their gifts, and they were all brilliant. They were all beautiful. And so my mother married my father, and as soon as I was born, he went off on a bender and, would float in and out of life. And so I came in as this creative, exciting child. And so I didn't understand racism. I didn't understand abuse and sexism. I just wanted to play and sing and dance and twirl. My mother used to tell the story of how she was with the insurance man, and I put her bra on my head and dressed up in her clothes and came dancing down the stairs with a song I made up for him. My mother was mortified. The guy thought it was funny, and I was like, "Yay, this is what I was born to do." So I would float in and out of this deep desire to be creative, to be visible, and to become invisible because my stepfather would beat my mother. He molested me. We had to be rescued from his house when I was 6 years old. We had a 1 hour window. So my uncle came, we put everything in sheets, put them in the car, and drove off. And so my whole life I would go, I'm here to do something great. I'm here to be powerful. I'm here to be creative. But the messaging in my life was, oh, you're not safe. I grew up literally 6 blocks away from where George Floyd got killed.
Wow.
And so it was, there was redlining going on. It was interesting because in the Black community, there was a Black and Jewish community kind of mixed. And so it looked like we were integrated and all this stuff was happening, but then in other parts, you weren't so loved. And so I had to figure out a way to honor this thing in me that said, you're more than this.
Yeah.
You can do this. I always wanted to travel. I always wanted to be on stages. I always wanted to act. And so I just kept that vision, and the portals opened, and I'm completely sure that angels took care of me.
Wow. Wow. What a story. I want to ask you a question real fast because that is, and that's the surface, right? That's the surface of your story. That is not your story. The feelings and all of everything that goes along with that. How do we explain to females who have a story, but don't feel as if their story is worthy of being told after hearing a story like yours? How do we explain that?
Listen, we are all unique imprints, and we've all come here with gifts and talents and challenges. There's no unworthy story. In fact, the more of us that tell our stories, the more people feel empowered, the more people step into their life, into their gifts, into their reason for being, their destiny. So for me, it's like, there's something about women, we can get in a room with 10 women and in 2 hours later, we know our history, our kids, we know everything because our stories matter. We're storytellers. So I say to any woman, tell your story, write it, sing it, dance it, paint it. Your story matters.
Yeah, 100%. I love that, because hearing that makes my story feel small. But so many people tell me that my story is big. So it really makes me think like there are so many women out there who hear somebody else's story and they make their story smaller because they don't view it as being as traumatic. So I love that you're saying that. It's so important no matter where you view your own story on the spectrum of stories.
Well, yeah,
It's important.
Yeah, and I interviewed you on my podcast, so I know your story is important and powerful. So yeah, and you know what? That thing of comparison, ladies, we have to get past this. You know what I mean? I mean, there's nobody like us on the planet. We don't have to compare ourselves to anybody. We don't have to prove ourselves to anybody. We're enough. We came here enough.
Yes, 100%. I love that. With all of the things that you've been through and the journeys, the years that you've been here on Earth, I want to talk about one of the things that I like to talk about is the areas in which you struggled, the areas in which there were some challenges, because a lot of times we're stuck. There's females right now watching live right now where they're like, I'm stuck in this stuff right now. And it's all fine and dandy to be listening to Cynthia and where she is now in her life and good for her, but I'm stuck. So I would like for you to give an example of an area in your life at one point where you were failing or struggling, and looking back at it now, what you learned from that time period.
Yeah, I've always been an artist. I've always been a creative. And for a long time, I made my living as an actress. I was on Days of Our Lives. I did a lot of television. I was an opening act for Rich Little and Jay Leno um, um, in Harrah's. But here's the thing: at one point, I went through a horrible, visible divorce, and I moved right back into survival mode, which is where I had come from. And I was afraid I couldn't take care of my children. I was struggling to find my identity. So what I did was I went and got a job. I worked in corporate America in communications, and my old thing came back of I can't be doing, this creative thing, it's too up and down. I need to take care of my children. So I'm working in corporate America and I got to go to school. So I go to a master's program so I can get spiritual psychology. And here's the thing, all the time I kept saying, why don't I feel fulfilled? Why don't I feel happy? Why don't I feel joyous? And meanwhile, I'm building other people's kingdoms. I'm building my boss's thing. I'm building programs for other people. I'm doing all of this stuff. And the awakening was one day I was like, wow, who am I?
Yeah.
What do I want?
Yeah.
Why I've been giving myself away for everybody else. Who am I? And it was like a rude awakening. And I realized I had taken that thing that brought me joy, my creativity, and I had put it on the shelf. And it was like a slap upside the head because my body was struggling. I mean, my adrenals were crazy. I wasn't eating well. I wasn't exercising. So what I want to say to anybody listening here is, your dreams matter. Your passions matter. And when you put them aside to take care of others, to prove yourself, to ask for validation, you are shutting down a part of your energetic field.
100%. I agree with you 100%. What's your viewpoint on personal growth?
Necessary, essential. Do it now.
How long have you been in the arena of that? Because you were doing your acting and all of that. Did you fall into that around that time, or was it years later? When did you come face to face with the realization of that was important?
It's been about 30 years. I mean, I haven't been teaching. I've been teaching in about 20, 25 years, but I started seeking. I started hearing about what was metaphysics. I started new thought. I've always been a seeker. I've always been somebody who wanted to be educated. So I started going to workshops and retreats and things where people were talking about yourself. I walked into the spiritual community and this man said, you're the captain of your own ship. You get to change your thinking. You get to change your life. And I thought, well, I don't know if that's true, but what if it is? So I just started taking all of these classes and things so that I could say, what is right for me? What's valuable for me? And today, because I'm a seeker, I'm so grateful because I never could stay put in one place if I felt uncomfortable. It felt like if I was uncomfortable, there was something pulling me to a different place.
Oh, that's interesting. Wait, explain that a little bit more.
Well, it's like, birds, the mother kicks the baby out of the nest so it'll fly.
Yeah.
But that baby's not happy to get out there and fly. I mean, I feel like dark nights of the soul or moments of confusion or transition, those are moments of choice. It's like, what are you choosing for your life? Because this doesn't feel like you're aligned or attuned, that means there's something else calling you. There's something else wanting to emerge through you. Your job is to wake up and find out what it is.
Yes. Oh, that's good. That's good. I appreciate that. That's simple.
Mm-hmm.
You have to figure out what it is. That's your job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you think are the steps that somebody should take if they're not feeling good where they're at right now? They're lost. They get it. They're like, "Okay, I get it. Personal development, get it. What do I do first? What's my first steps that I'm supposed to take?"
First step is pause and reflect. Look at all the ways you're giving yourself away, all the ways you're not standing up. You pause. Don't make any decisions. Don't do any, just pause and reflect. Journaling is great for that, to just write down stream of consciousness, everything that's there. You can even start with, I hate everybody. I hate everybody, whatever you want to do.
Yes.
And open up to what you're feeling. A lot of times we push our feelings away. So pause, reflect, and open to your feelings. And the second thing I would say is, you are a human being, but you are also a spiritual being having a human experience. And so I would seek, and I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about what feeds your soul, what enlivens you, what brings you peace. Is it meditation? Is it music? Is it hiking? What is it that can bring you back to your spiritual center? And the third thing I would say is invest in you.
Oh, yeah.
Ask for help, whether it's a coach, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a college or a university. Invest in you. A lot of times women, we wait too long taking care of other people, not understanding that if we invest in us and we honor us and we make ourselves a priority, man, everything changes.
Yes, 100%. I love the fact that you're giving us options. So many times, individuals say you have to meditate. Meditation is the answer. Or you have to walk for at least 20 minutes a day. Walking 20 minutes a day is the answer. I love that you are saying yes to everything, but you have to find your one thing.
Yes.
Because everyone's different.
Well, yeah. And here's the thing. Your health and well-being is essential, but your entree to that can look a myriad of ways. It is important to exercise. It is important to eat well. It is important to sleep and rest. All those things are important. But, you can't do everything all at once anyhow. Multitasking is a myth.
Yeah. I talk about that all the time. Yes. Can you explore on that a little bit? What do you mean by that? That's new to people. People don't know that.
No, you know what? I don't know why we think we can do 50 things at once. We can't. You do one thing at a time, but you may have 10 things going at a time and you're juggling all of them. And so you think you're multitasking, but that just takes your focus away. It makes you feel crazy, and it makes you start doubting yourself and beating yourself up. If you focus on one thing at a time, you accomplish more in a shorter amount of time.
Yes, exactly. Focusing on just one thing at a time, fully, then switching. Yes. Should be called switching. I'm really good at switching. Definitely. What's the number one lesson you've learned from your life?
Leap, risk, dare to be brave, have the courage to change.
Oh, yes. What do you mean by leap? That sounds scary.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's this whole thing about leap and the net will appear. But leap means step into the unknown. That void is a place of creativity and rebirth. Leap in there and explore. Be adventurous, take the risk. But, you've got this life. Why not see what's possible? Because you live in a field of potentiality. Go for it.
Go for it. We're scared sometimes, though.
Oh, totally. And if you're not scared, it's too little.
Yeah. Oh, yes. How did you use that when you were getting into music? That must have been scary.
Well, you know what? I sang when I was in high school. I sang, and it was really interesting because people like my voice, but I judged it. I mean, I wasn't Aretha Franklin or or Gladys Knight or some of those people, and so I judged it, and so I was kind of timid, even though people saying love her voice. And at one point, I thought, I don't want to wake up one day and say I didn't go for this dream. I I didn't try to step on a big stage. I don't want to wake up one day regretting. I don't want to be on my deathbed sorry that I didn't explore what brought me joy. And so I just started singing in little clubs and I started doing musical theater. I mean, I just started doing all these things. And some of the things I did were completely crazy and awful. And some of them were like opening, just wide opening my heart and my abilities.
Wow, I can just imagine. It's so awesome hearing you talk about that because we forget that like everyone has a beginning. You're like some of the things that I did were like awful or weird. But we would never know that looking in. Like now, you're established, you've got your stuff going, you have programs, you're flowing.
Yeah.
But it didn't just plop like that.
There's no overnight success. I don't care
Yeah.
what they tell you. There's, there, and here's the thing. I mean, if you think about Olympic athletes, you know what I mean? They get out there and they look fabulous, but they're training hours a day. They've been doing it for years. You know what I mean? And when they started, they fell down and they couldn't make the stage. I mean, it's like that's part of the journey. It's like the learning and the exploration and the opening to possibility and seeing what is yours to give. What can you do that's unique and powerful and enlivens you?
Yeah, 100%. What's your viewpoint on people who are dealing with limiting beliefs? You were talking about your voice and how, you're not this or you're not that. That's going to hold people back sometimes. That same exact feeling in whatever area they're looking at.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that? Or can you explain what it is first and then kind of tell people how you were able to?
Well, limiting beliefs, a belief is just a thought that's happened over and over and over again, and then it becomes like the reality of your thinking and way of being. But it can be changed. Limiting belief says you don't have enough, you're not enough, you can't be enough. Oh, you're going to screw it up. Why would you step out there? Why would you write a book? There's been 100 books, 100,000 books written, whatever it is. But the thing is, it's like you have to get to a place where you go, if in fact we live in a universe that's full of potential and possibility,
Yeah.
and we come from that universe, I mean, we are part of that universe, within us, there's unlimited possibility and potential. So why not look? Why not open? Why not ask? Why not come up with affirmations? I mean, that's where I started. Affirmations that said, I'm enough, I'm lovable, I'm powerful, I'm courageous, I'm gifted. And you say every time those old thoughts come in, you interrupt it with that affirmation, and it starts you thinking differently and opening your eyes to what could be available for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Did you deal with that as far as um not necessarily, you said that you didn't feel like your voice was other people liked it, but you didn't really. Did you sit in that for a while or were you just kind of like, I guess this is just the voice and
Yeah.
just go? Or did you have any doubts?
Oh, totally. I had doubts, and I would go up and out. I would go out and I'd try, and then I go, oh, and if it didn't have the outcome that I thought, then I'd pull back my energy. I mean, I guess what I want to say is like it's all a journey,
Yeah.
and sometimes you'll step out and you'll fly, and other times you'll step out and you'll trip. It's all part of the journey,
Yeah.
and if you have a passion in you that's encoded in you, there's a delivery system.
Yeah.
You just have to not give up.
Yeah. Absolutely. I want to take a moment real fast to give some love and support to those that are watching live right now. We so appreciate you being here and hanging out with us and listening to Cynthia's story and some of the insight that she has from her life. Cynthia, can you take a moment and tell us what you do, what your business is, and kind of how you help all the humans?
Yeah, well, I'm a transformational coach. I mean, I work with leaders. I work with small to mid-sized companies and help them with their staff. And it's all about being conscious. It's all about being awake and living from a place of a world that can support everyone, where there's kindness and care and love and success, and there's win-win. So I do a lot of that. I do a lot of coaching of women. I have an organization called Women Creating Our Futures, and a subset of that is all Women Creating Our Futures. We have a lot of programs and things that support women in really getting clear about their focus and how they want to live their lives. And AWE is the Academy of Women Emerging. It's for women entrepreneurs and women who are in leadership who want to go to the next level. And then I'm an author and a speaker and a singer. And I used to think I had to just do one thing, but I realized that we are multifaceted beings, and so we get to do a lot of things that we love.
Yes. Yes. That is exactly my thought process. And I love speaking to people like you because there are so many people who are telling us consistently that we have to pick one.
Right.
And I just think that's bullcrap.
Totally. Why? So this whole life, why would it just be one thing?
Yeah, it's so dumb. And why do you have to stop doing one thing because you decide that you also want to do another thing? You know, like if you had to stop doing what you love, singing, music, creativity, in order to, pursue, the art of helping other females out there, that just literally doesn't make any sense.
Not at all.
It literally makes no sense. We are multifaceted. I love that. And I totally 100% agree with you. I want to know what your view on success is.
Feeling alive, vital, expansive. It's really not about achievements, although achievements are wonderful. It's about being grateful and standing in gratitude for your life and doing the things that you love and loving the things that you do.
Absolutely. What would you say to a female right now who's struggling with finding herself, finding her success? What should we say to her?
You're a masterpiece in the making. Make no mistake about it. Don't wait. Don't settle. All it takes is a simple, small step, one at a time, to move you in the direction of your dreams.
Definitely 100%. And can you reiterate the steps for her if she's just coming on right now?
Oh, yeah. Don't wait. Don't settle, step out, risk. And here's the thing. Pause and reflect on who you are and what you want.
Yeah.
And then take simple steps to make it happen.
Absolutely. Simple steps. That's the key. Yeah. It doesn't have to be all scary. Yeah. And so many things that have gotten you through your journey thus far are things that you can use, Definitely 100%. Well, thank you so much, Cynthia. I so appreciate you being here and taking some of your time today to hang out with us. For those of you that are listening live, thank you so much for being here and listening. For those of you watching on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay so that we know you were here and we can send you some love. Cynthia, do you have any closing thoughts before I close up?
Oh, listen, your presence on the planet matters. You are essential. You are awesome. You are dynamic. And let's soar together.
100%. I love that. Thank you so much, Cynthia. I thank you all for being here and hanging out with us at Her Version. This community is expanding every single day and is filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. If you have an amazing story to share, make sure you reach out to me. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and inspire others. Do something awesome today.